Hello, everyone. Welcome to Online Seller UK podcast. My name is Prabhat, founder at Online Seller UK, and we've been doing this Amazon-related podcast for some time. Today, I've got Francis from Murray Marketing with me, and we are talking about really hot topic that affects everyone. It's Amazon seller suspensions. So, Francis, welcome to our podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhat. Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure.
Excellent. So, Murray, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit more and what sort of work you've been doing lately, and maybe a bit of intro about your company.
Well, first of all, again, thanks for having me. What I do is specialize in Amazon sellers that had suspensions. So pretty much I've been doing this for 5 years at this point. I'm originally from the New York area. And I now live in Western Germany. And I've been working for an Amazon company that specializes in sellers that have had suspensions for over roughly 4.5, 5 years. And I decided to do a little bit of work on my own. I've been dealing with all kinds of cases and suspensions that even competitors that we've had out there in the market couldn't get the job done. They would come to me and I got the job done. But at the end of the day, it's a very challenging thing for any Amazon seller that is facing a suspension or a product listing suspension. And it's not something to be taken lightly because it really can affect your sales or their sales. And it's something that they really should seek professional help versus maybe watching a YouTube video and trying to do their own plan that could result in a permanent ban on Amazon. So, but yeah, that's a little bit. I'm going right into it already, but it's a little bit. I mean, my background also is I actually have a legal background too. So I was a legal assistant or a paralegal in Philadelphia and New York. I was an independent for many years, and I have a background in law. So that also gives me a little bit of an edge, because I know the law and I also understand Amazon's guidelines. So I use that to my advantage. Now, I can't give legal advice because I'm not a solicitor or, as they say in the UK, or an attorney, as we say in the States, but I do have the knowledge and I use that when I write. So that automatically gives me an edge on getting a client's plan through. And particularly when it comes to like an intellectual property violation case. I also have contacts with certified solicitors in the UK or attorneys in New York City. So if we do need an attorney, or for example, we need a legal opinion, which sometimes is the case for an intellectual property violation, then I have the means to get that.
Absolutely. So no, that's excellent. So there are lots of things around the suspension, as you mentioned, about trademark violations, or could be other things to do with account health, could be to do with anything. So there are like complex topics, and sometimes not one thing fits all. Like we were talking just before we did this recording. So and like you said, it's a very fearful thing for Amazon sellers. I've met, or in the past I've met people whose account been suspended but lifted after some time, and they've had a massive loss. And also I hear people every now and then that phone calls, their account has been suspended, and it's a sort of a fear. Okay, I can't generalize it, to be perfectly honest, just sitting down here, but it's a fear that I think almost all Amazon sellers have. And it doesn't make a difference whether it's a small seller or it's a large seller, because some time ago, as you may know, that the second largest seller in Amazon Germany was suspended. And we see lots of people like that without any reason. And hence, like I said, a professional advice is generally recommendable in that. So as a first step, if, say, for example, my account got suspended today, and I got an email from Amazon, what will be my next step?
Well, the first thing you should do is you really should identify the issue that got you suspended in the first place. A lot of times I deal with sellers, I really don't even know why they're suspended. And then they come to me and they say, hey, I'm suspended, Francis. What can you do? I mean, and my first question is, well, why are you suspended? So I would say identify the issue first off, as best as possible. The thing with Amazon is a little bit cryptic. They don't like to give a lot of information out to sellers. They kind of write in code. And if you're not familiar with that code, it can create confusion. And I would say, you know, identify the issue would be one. The second thing would be to contact somebody as myself, or, you know, whoever they choose that knows a little bit about Amazon and how to address a violation. I know in the UK, for example, you have roughly 7 or 8 competitors. I think most of them are reasonably qualified to get it done to a degree, but I would issue caution, and that would be buyer beware. All right. In my experience, when I worked in Germany, we've had companies that were pretty big actually in the UK that would really, we would actually get their clients, and then they would come to us and say, hey, I paid £1,000 to get this, you know, my case open, or my account unsuspended, and it wasn't done. And what can you do with it? And I looked at the case and reevaluated it and said, well, I see what they did wrong, for one. And I said, two, you know, this is the way we can re-strategize it and go about it. And after a few weeks of, you know, revising the plan, calls into Amazon, we got it done. And the other thing too is, I also like to say that I'm not just myself, but I'm a transparent kind of guy, and I'm a transparent kind of business guy. If I think, hey, you have no chance of getting your account reinstated, then I'm just going to tell you flat out, because I don't have the time to waste on it. If I think there's really an issue, like, you know what, I saw in English we call it the email of death from Amazon, where it says you're not going to get reinstated. We're not going to accept any more phone calls and emails from you. And that's what we call the email of death. So it pretty much means Amazon's not going to really do anything with you. Now, my experience, I've gotten sellers reinstated after 8 months. They would come back, redo a plan, and then Amazon reaccepts them. So there's little tricks to the trade. And I would really recommend sellers that are facing suspensions, especially if they're not feeling comfortable, to contact a professional. And it's not a situation where we say, well, just contact us, we need your business. It's like a lawyer. If you are charged with a crime, are you going to represent yourself in court, or are you going to hire a solicitor that knows the law and knows how to get around things to defend you? And
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's like, you know, we need to just nitty-gritty of find the real reasons behind it. And sometimes it's very difficult to find the reasons behind the problems, but generally people do know what they've done. They might not admit it, but sometimes genuinely people don't know what's going on. So so if somebody's have been suspended, I think the first thing, I would be panicking, because I would see, I like many sellers, you know, we are very much dependent on Amazon for sales. Generally, not all the sellers, but generally they are. And we've got staff and all that sort of thing to pay bills and all. So that all comes in perspective when your account gets suspended. Panicking is the first thing everybody does. It's like an earthquake, and even if people say don't run during earthquake, people do, right? So yeah, people do. I've been myself in an earthquake in Nepal a few years ago. I nearly died. So, but I haven't, obviously. But you know, people do panic, and then with that panicness, I think there are wrong things people can do. So do you want to point out, you know, 1 or 2 things, maybe like, let's say 2 maximum things people shouldn't do when their account is suspended?
Well, it's pretty easy, Prabhat. The first thing is don't write a plan on your own that's probably not going to get approved, and actually lessen your chances of getting reinstated. All right. And I've seen this happen very often. Sellers will write their own plan and they think it's great, and they send it in and it's rejected, and then they're, oh, it's rejected, what do I do, you know? Because they don't understand the structure that Amazon expects in a plan, and they don't understand what needs to go into it. I mean, even myself as an experienced writer and plan writer and understanding Amazon, even we get plans rejected that I have to revise a little bit, and then we send it in, and then it's approved. So it's not an exact science. It's subject to the reviewer at Amazon. And this is part of the challenge that every seller out there faces. The issue though here is I will write a plan that I know is going to work, and if it needs a revision, it's not going to be such an extensive revision that Amazon's just going to say, well, you know what, we're not taking any more appeals. So it's very important that you write the first plan as best as you can, and then if there is some sort of revision, it's very minor, and then it usually is approved with Amazon. But I've seen sellers where they write, hey, I'll never do it again. Sorry, yeah, we looked at the one Amazon rule, and everything's great. And then, those kind of things just aren't going to cut it for Amazon. And I think there's a little bit of, a lot of people out there think, hey, because on the Amazon page, it says write a one-page plan, and I think that works to a degree, because I've seen some other Amazon professionals in the industry, that say, hey, they don't have a lot of time to read this in India or in the UK where they're reading plans. And that's true. They're under time pressure. But in my experience, it's a little bit more involved than that. And writing these one-page plans, as a matter of fact, I don't think I've ever written a one-page plan it's without it being rejected. I think they've always requested additional information. Well, what about this? What about that? And this is the thing I think people don't quite understand. And this is why you need an experienced professional that's not only understands Amazon, but it, in my opinion, is good at writing. Because you as an Amazon seller, your gift is selling. You know how to run Amazon, you know how to sell and make your money. Well, you may not be the greatest writer. And that's where, you need somebody like me. Well, I know how to write. So, okay, well, why do I know how to write? Well, I used to write court briefs in Philadelphia. So if I can write a 25-page court brief, then I can take care of your plan of action as well, but with Amazon's rules. But the other thing too that I want to point out would be, don't call Amazon complaining. That happens a lot. The sellers get very upset. They call Amazon and say, hey, my account's suspended. I don't understand why. I didn't do anything. I've seen that in the plans as well, where they claim, hey, I never suspended, intellectual. I'm just going to pick on intellectual property today. Hey, I didn't violate anybody. What are you talking about? And then as soon as I get the case and I review the notes and I review the documents, I say, well, this isn't necessarily the case. You listed, you attached an item to an ASIN that has a trademark protection on it, and you can't do that without getting the licensing agreements. So this is the part of the challenge that people and sellers need to not do. They need to remain calm, get all the documentation, contact somebody like myself in the industry that can get it back for you. And of course, if you do hire me, I will do the best I can to get it done for you as quickly as possible, because time is money, and I understand that. And I don't offer, unfortunately, I don't offer these. I've seen some of the competitors, the 12 hours, have your plan, I don't do these 12-hour deals, because in my experience, I've never seen a 12-hour plan ever get approved. So I like to keep it honest with clients that, look, your plan's complicated. It's going to take time to really write it properly. A couple days, 1, 2, 3 days, it usually is about average. And I will get the clients back selling again. So
okay, excellent. So you mentioned before about additional information sometimes Amazon asks for without there may be a lot of different additional information. So if I have to ask you one typical example of additional information that Amazon normally need, can you give me just one example for us?
Yeah, well, that's very clear. Invoices.
Okay. Invoices from the supplier, sort of thing. Yeah. Okay.
And they have to be good too. Otherwise, Amazon loves to reject them.
Yeah. And the other question, we've got a feeling that there isn't, it's not people actually checking the suspension. And I appreciate if you don't want to comment on this, that's fine, but because it's live recording, it's on edited as well when it goes live later on.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
so we feel like it's not people actually reviewing the suspension cases. It's there. Is there? Do you think there is a bot that's reading all these appeals?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a good question. I think the reviewers quickly look at the structure and quickly look at some certain formats in the plan. And if the structure is not right, it's automatically just goes into the rejection pile.
Yeah, sorry. So
Um,
that's a reviewer. That's a person checking. And what I'm asking is, I feel like even people don't see it. It's somebody automatically, obviously the bot reading it and
yeah,
rejects automatically. Does that actually happen? Because I've seen a lot of times I send the
yeah,
appeal in and it's within a seconds it gets rejected.
yeah, it gets rejected. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, it's very hard to comment on that because I mean, from people I know within Amazon, I mean, I haven't necessarily heard of any, like they have bots, but is it feasible that they have bots that scan them over for certain things? Absolutely. So I maybe that's gives you a little bit of an idea.
Yeah.
In my experience as a guy who's been dealing with suspensions for a little while, I don't typically have cases that get approved like within 2 seconds. What usually it takes a few hours, maybe the next day, and then they're approved, which tells me somebody really reads it. But
Yeah.
I had a couple cases that were used as new cases, and they used as new cases for product defects or damaged products. They tend to go a little bit faster.
Okay,
So
that's fine. I think it's good to know that it's been handled properly as well. So so that's good. Thank you for sharing your thoughts into
no
this.
worries.
Yeah. So I think it's about time to wrap up. So I
Yeah.
think we can close now. So if somebody is to ask you, you know, if you somebody asks you, say one tip to deal with Amazon suspension to end with, what would you say?
Well, I'll give you 1 for 2. How's that? Real quick. All right. First one is know and understand the rules of Amazon. Most of the time, the sellers have no clue what the rules are on Amazon. They sign the thing. They don't understand what the seller code of conduct is or what the business Article 3, Section 3. They half of them never even read this or know this, and I would suggest that they do. The second thing would be pay attention to your seller notification and performance metrics, because especially for order defect rate cases, very important. I get a lot of them actually, and they're not as easy as people think. There's typically 4 issues, and we need to find solutions for all 4 issues when we write an Amazon reinstatement appeal. So those would be the 2 big things I can leave you off with, Prabhat. So.
Excellent. So that's really good. So I really value your this conversation, Francis. I'm sure a lot of people listening today would sort of get some idea what they need to do. So if somebody is to reach you out, Francis, and talk to you, where is the best place to get to you?
Well, they can, my website, great place. Very easy, www.mari-marketing.com. Super, it's M-A-R-I, all right, because it's not, sometimes they think I say Mary, M-A-R-Y. It's MARI-marketing.com. They can contact me toll free. If they're in the UK, they can contact me toll free anytime. And if they're in the United States, they can also contact me toll free anytime. So I have both toll free numbers there. And of course, they can send an email. I have a case submission form there. Very easy. I made it extremely easy for people to send their information to me in any way they feel necessary, or if they're comfortable, give me a call. I love talking to people, and I can certainly give them advice over the phone on what I think about their case. But yeah, that's the easiest way to reach me. So
excellent. So thank you again, Francis, for your time, and I'll speak to you soon. All the best. Bye for now.
yeah, thank you. Ciao.